Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to another Nerd Nation broadcast. We're talking Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2, Chapter 9, The Passenger, or as I like to call it, Eggs Benedict Baby. Now, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen it, please watch it first before you join us. I'm here with my mate, Roberto, also known as Cousin Cheeto. Say hello, my friend.
Hey, what's up?
Very good. Everything great. I'm fine, thank you. Hope you're good too, mate. So let's just get the show on the road, okay? Yeah?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do
very
it.
good. All right. So season 2, episode 2, chapter 10 begins with the Mandalorian going off from the Sand Dragon adventure back to Mos Eisley on his speeder bike. There are three bandits waiting to ambush him using the old rope trick. And it actually successfully works. They take him down. But Mando, being the Mando, beats the fuck out of him, tricks the last guy into giving his baby back for the jetpack. So baby Yoda back for the jetpack. And the jetpack ends up being the demise for that last guy, but he goes shooting up into the sky. And Mando gets his jetpack back. Unfortunately for him, though, his speeder bike has been destroyed and he has to walk back to Mos Eisley. What did you think of that opening scene, Roberto?
I thought it was good. It was funny, but I kind of figured that's how it was going to go. It's especially when he gave him the jetpack. I was like, oh yeah, he's just going to like launch it into the air or something like that. When, after he goes to run off with the jetpack. So I figured that much was going to happen. And I love the shrug that Baby Yoda looks at Mando and he's like, really, you dick, and he's like, eh. He's
Yeah.
like, he's trying to rob us, like. No honor
Yeah.
amongst thieves there.
I thought personally, Baby Yoda would have been impressed by that. But anyways, Mando does make it back. He doesn't end up being. I thought he would be in the desert forever and shit, and then he was going to bump into Boba Fett at some point, but that wasn't the case. He does end up getting back to Mos Eisley. Rhea Perlman's sister is there at the Mos Eisley cantina, sitting probably in the same booth Han sat at that time, playing back with this ant, and she gets the idiot's array and beats him, but Mando gets some interesting information from this ant. Apparently, he knows somebody who knows where Mandalorians are. So Rhea Perlman's sister gets Mando to, ask Mando, look, if you take this gecko, this female gecko and her baby eggs, we could, she'll tell you where her husband is, and her husband will tell you where the Mandos are. And it's not really the ideal scenario for the Mandalorian to take on. He doesn't really want to be carrying a passenger, somebody he might have to look out for. But he is desperate to find his people, so he takes the job on. So up to this moment, Bob, what do you think of all of this stuff so far? Because we were leaving Tatooine without a Boba Fett encounter.
Good. I don't care about Boba Fett.
Any
That's
of the
it.
scenes that you like?
I'm glad that they went somewhere else and did something else because I was not looking forward to the Boba Fett crap. So
Boba Fett is here now. The point is whether I was on board actually with not having Boba Fett because this is the Mandalorian story. We don't need a Boba Fett thing, but now he's here. I'm just embracing it for what it is, and I just hope they do it right. The execution is the most important thing. Now they're going to put Boba Fett into this, and I hope they execute it right. Unfortunately, they left us with our mouths watering at the end of episode 1, and they gave us nothing to quench in our first with episode 2. Because I'm going to spoil it already. There is no fucking Boba Fett in episode 2, and we don't see him at the end of the Tatooine sequence when Mando shoots off into space, and we don't see him for the rest of the fucking episode. So I'm really hoping at some point Boba Fett does make an appearance, but it wasn't today. So Mando is now in space, and he's trotting along. He can't go in hyperdrive because apparently if he goes hyperdrive speed, the eggs of the gecko, who's called Frog Lady, by the way, but I'm calling her a gecko because as far as I'm concerned, she looked more like a fucking gecko than she did a frog. Nevertheless, if he goes into hyperspeed, it will destroy the eggs. Now some also has a keen eye for those fucking eggs, and that's Baby Yoda. At first, I thought, oh, he wants to eat them, but then when he approached the tank, I thought to myself, no, he's going to communicate with him, but it's Baby Yoda. But no, I was right the first time. He starts eating those eggs. And it's just so funny. Like, that's his missions for the whole episode, like eggs, and more eggs. And it kind of shows that, you shouldn't always put your hand in the cookie jar. And we learn that later on in this episode. But, it's a long journey. They get some rest. And then when they wake up, they've been flanked by a couple of X-Wings. And this was nice practical effects here, Bob. I'm not sure if you noticed. There was no CGI when they were looking at the windows. Those were actual models. And Mando trying to talk himself out of this situation because I believe he's in the old Imperial ship. Is that correct? I believe that ship had Imperial markings. Am I correct?
I think so, but I think he didn't want them to know where he had been. That's why his ping thingy was turned off, because he didn't want the rebels to know where he was previously, because they do that and they show where they pinged last. So
because his past does come back to haunt him, because they do realize that he was his ship was used for the raid on that space jail. But I'll come back to that a bit later. But obviously he's worried that that those X-Wings would associate him with that, so which is why he doesn't want to give any information away. Funnily enough, one of those X-Wings was there at the time when they destroyed Sons of Anarchy's space station in last season's Mandalorian. That was played by Dave Filoni. He's back in this particular episode as one of the X-Wing's pilots, which was pretty cool. But Mandalorian realizes that he can't be giving any more information to these guys, but they're going to believe that he's somebody he's not, or he's associating with something that he should that was a long time ago, and he can't be dealing with that shit. So he tries to outrun them, and he goes down into this snow planet. And I don't believe it's Hoth. Was there a name for that planet, Bob?
I don't think they had a name designated for that planet. I don't ever remember them saying it. I don't think it was Hoth, because I'm pretty sure Hoth and Tatooine are pretty far apart in the lore per se. And I feel like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau would pretty much honor that, because they were going from Tatooine sublight, so there's no way they could have made it to Hoth. You know what I mean? Like, so it's probably just like a ship that's in like a nearby system or sector or something like that.
Fair enough. I mean, there's more than one snow planet, I guess. I mean, there's fuck knows how many desert planets there are in the Star Wars universe. So they create, with a little bit of movement and a little bit of maneuverability, Mandalorian is able to hide from the X-Wings. I like the way when the foils open. By the way, give me.
Well, let's.
Sorry, I do apologize. No, I'm back. So like when the X-Wing foils opened, that was pretty cool. When the chase began, that was pretty cool. Not much of a dogfight, but Mandalorian got away. But unfortunately, he landed on some very delicate ice, and his ship crashed through it, and there was some serious damage, and they're kind of stuck there for a little while. And this gecko, being some sort of lizard creature, also cold-blooded, I immediately, as somebody who used to own a lizard, you own a lizard yourself, I guess you kind of related to the fact that this gecko person needs to be somewhere warm, because being in this environment is not going to help her. Not much happens here, so it made me feel that we were going to get a somber episode, because they just had to like hang about, repair the ship. There wasn't much adventuring, but Baby Yoda, every time he had an opportunity, he was eating those fucking eggs, and that made me laugh. We did also get Gecko Girl repairing the droid from that episode of the jailbreak, because Mando kept some pieces of that droid, and it was also voiced once again by Richard Ayoade. And she used that droid to communicate with the Mando, which I thought was a really clever move. So far up to this particular point, Bob, from space with the X-wings up to here, what did you think?
I mean, I liked it. It's definitely. I kind of figured early on that this was like with the way it was building. I thought it was going to be a filler episode. When they were I didn't know if they were going to go into the Boba Fett of it all. Kind of glad they didn't. But you know, I mean, I thought it was a lot better that way.
Okay, fair enough. You think Dave Filoni is going to be a bigger character in this show? By the way, he's been in 2 seasons now, The Mandalorian.
I think he's just gonna have cameos. Baby Yoda going after the eggs was funny, but I honestly thought in the back of my mind at the end it was like he was gonna like spit them back up or something like that because he was trying to help them, but now he's just eating them. He's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's becoming a bit of an arsehole, and he started to remind me a little bit of Baby Groot from Guardians 2. Baby Groot, not teenage Groot. And I fucking hate Baby Groot. And there's points in this episode where I was getting really pissed off with Baby Yoda. But I'm not sure yourself. I was like, you fucking brat, you little annoying piece of shit. You're fucking ruining it for everyone. Oh, you keep your mouth to yourself, your hands to yourself. You're pissing it. Anyway, the point is, Baby Yoda's... The reason why I'm having such a go at Baby Yoda is because eventually he does bring a lot of shit to the Mandalorian. Because whilst Mandalorian is trying to repair the ship, Gecko Girl decides to go for a little walk. And she finds some hot springs, which is kind of convenient. And she decides to bathe in them. And she puts her eggs in there. And then the Mandalorian finds her there and tells her, you know what? You can't be staying here. It's too dangerous. We need to go. And whilst that's happening, Baby Yoda's walking about. And he finds some other eggs. And these eggs remind me of the xenomorph eggs from Aliens, the facehugger eggs from Aliens.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of similarities, but there's no 2-step procedure here of facehugger and alien. There's just one, because these spider eggs are laid by spiders, and the spider comes out of this egg, and the Baby Yoda eats it, and next thing you know, the whole nest of spiders start coming out, all different sizes, really small to medium to a massive fucking one, which I believe was the mother, and starts chasing these guys. And this scene just kind of came out of nowhere, because like I said, you thought it was a real character episode, maybe showing different sides of Mandalorian, that he's quite an empathetic guy, which he has been showing in these recent episodes. But because of shit hitting the fan, because Baby Yoda can't keep his shit together and keep his hands to himself, all these spiders start chasing them. And I have to admit, this was a scary scene. I am extremely arachnophobic. Maybe not as bad as I used to be, but spiders scared the fuck out of me. And I love this scene for that, because I was getting scared. I felt scared for these guys. Like, where are they going to run to? You had Gecko Girl and her eggs. You had Baby Yoda, him. These guys are catching up to ground on them. They're running into the ship. Every time they're about to close the door, more spiders come through. They're seeping through. It was a really, really scary scene. What do you think of all of that so far, Bob?
I mean, it was what it was. A little bit of a nod is the design for those spiders was originally for Empire Strikes Back, so it's kind of like a nod to classic Star Wars, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I mean, yeah, it felt a little bit of action packy just for action packy's sake, but at least I mean, it was like. It was, I don't know. It was just, I mean, it was adventure fueled to be adventure. As I said, this kind of felt like a filler episode. I never really felt like they were ever in actual turmoil. The only thing I thought might happen is that the mama gecko might die, and then Mando would have to deliver the eggs to the husband or whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Mama Gecko didn't die. And you know what? Credit to the writers for once again not going for cliche shit, because the moment those eggs started hatching and she's still in that fucking pond, in that jacuzzi in the snow, and butt naked and shit, I thought to myself, yeah, she is fodder. But no, she uses that tongue to great effect, gets her clothes on wickedy quick, and yeah, she survives. And it's kind of surprising, because if you see the trailers, you see her in possibly what would be the next episode. So Of course, she survived, and you think they're about to. By the way, when they're in their cockpit and the spiders are still getting through the gaps and stuff like that, absolutely scary. But finally, they're able to seal the cockpit doors, and you think they're about to shoot off. But no, the mama spider, which they thought you blew up earlier, she's back and she drops right on top of them, and you think they're done for. But luckily for them, Dave Filoni's on the scene. He comes flying. He comes flying in his X-wing. So does his mate, and they shoot the shit out of the remaining spiders, and they basically save Mando's life. What do you think of all of that, Bob?
I mean, it was fun, but I honestly, when they got into that that moment when you're like, they're done. How are they going to get out of this? I figured the X-wings were going to show up. Like Fortunately, I saw that one coming. I'm not saying it was a bad move. I'm just saying, like, I saw it coming. And that's my own foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Issue.
Once the mama spider jumped on top of the ship as you thought they were about to escape, I thought to myself, okay, now they're in a situation where somebody has to save them.
Yeah.
And that definitely was the case. And the funny thing is, it kind of makes sense because they were being chased by those guys in the first place. It's not like these guys are going to stop. It's not like a video game where they're going to stop pursuing because they're no longer in sight.
They sit on the bridge.
And they knew and they found out who he was, but they ran his plates or whatever, and they realized that he was the ship that was involved in that jailbreak. But they also knew that he tried to save the life of that prison warden. So they give him, and plus, anyway, he left the fucking, the transmitter on Sons of Anarchy space station for Filoni, Deborah Chow, and Fukunaga to blow up anyway at the end of that particular episode. So they got all the bad guys anyway. But he put all the other ones in jail in that episode as well. So yeah, they let him off, but they don't repair his ship, which is unfortunate. But eventually, Mando repairs the ship, goes back into space, chugging along. The ship's got holes in it. Fucking doors are flapping open.
I know. He said we can limp to whatever planet they're going. Yeah. And they literally limp there.
Exactly, and it ended in a hilariously because I think Gecko Mum knows that Baby Yoda's eating her children.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she knows by the end too.
And she holds that container really tight, but ha ha ha, Gecko Mum, I've got one, and he eats it, and the episode ends.
I mean, I thought it was cheesy, like that way, like the way they did that. Her Yoda just magically has one of them in his hand, and it's like, oh god, like it was just very ham-handed. You know what I mean? Like I didn't exactly think it was that great of a.
I think this is going to be a common thread for the Mandalorian, that he has to deal with these obstacles on his overall quest. So it's going to feel a lot fillery pretty much throughout the show, in my opinion.
And I want to be clear. I don't mind filler. As long as it's filler that's assisting the main plot. So like, I don't mind this filler only because they were on their way to find more Mandalorians. So, was it filler? Yes, but it's not like super out of nowhere filler, in my opinion.
If anything, I'll tell you what's more filler was the second episode of season 1 where you had to deal with the fucking space rhino. That was more filler because he couldn't use his ship in that particular episode because Jawa stripped it. It was nothing to do with the plot. He had a massive inconvenience. There was a plot thread in this where he had to take Gecko Lady to meet her husband so he could speak to him himself to find out where all these Mandalorians are, because Gecko Lady's husband has seen Mandalorians, allegedly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it just kind of felt like a filler episode, but yeah, you're right. There are definitely more fillery episodes that...
All the stuff that happened in Tatooine was relevant. Or not all the stuff, but some of the exposition relevant. Once they were on Ice Planet, it was more of a bottle episode where they had to try and get the fuck out of there. And Mando was very talkative in this episode, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, but you kind of have to when you have a baby that only makes little cute noises and a gecko that only makes gecko noises. And I mean, you need dialogue there. I
Yeah,
mean,
but once again, it's how you write it. The gecko didn't have to make gecko noises. The gecko didn't have to be a fucking gecko. Um, but the point is how you write it. They could have had the gecko lady as the talker, and Mando could have just said the odd words, but Mando had to end up being the talker just to fill in the space. And there's not much you can do on that ship anyway. When I found out he was sleeping in that little box, I was thinking, "Fucking hell, mate." I
I
mean,
was surprised too. Like I knew Baby Yoda was in there, but I wasn't sure if that was an actual bed for Mando. So I was actually kind of surprised when he crawled in there. I'm like, oh, okay.
exactly. Now it looks. It's a shame there's not much to go on regarding this episode, other than the fact that the spider designs were pretty cool. I mean, that some of the concept art you saw at the end of the episode doesn't really highlight some of the other concept art, which was for, I believe, was it Shadow, was Knights of the Old Republic concept art, which showed the spider, the frost spiders being exactly the same as that in the concept art.
I
Do
don't
you?
know. I
You
just
should
know
see.
I read somewhere that the spiders were they got those from concept art
If you look at some
from
of the
MDR.
Star Wars, I think there's a couple of Star Wars encyclopedias. Actually, I don't think it's yeah, I think it's actually from the original trilogy. It's not to do with the Old Republic, but some of the encyclopedias for Star Wars during the original trilogy shows the spiders to be exactly like that, and it just goes to show that people like John Favreau and Dave Filoni knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to Star Wars. They really, they're not trying to create new shit out of nothing and hoping that we'll just follow through. They're using existing shit and expanding on it. This is much better, you know. And hats off to them, because even for a filler episode, if it's done right, I'm going to enjoy it. And I enjoyed this episode for what it was. Yes, it didn't necessarily progress the story as much as possible, but did I have a good time watching this? Yes, I did. And I knew at the same time when watching this that some people are going to not be happy with it because the story didn't progress. But when those spiders came out, fuck me, I was shitting my pants and I had a good time, seeing how Mando always deals with his problems. And I can't wait to see how he deals with his next problems.
Do we know? I mean, do we know where they're heading next week? I mean, it's that planet where
That
he.
water planet, by the looks of things. I'm not sure if that planet's Camino or not, but
I don't
it
think so.
looks
I don't think Camino's on the other side of the galaxy. I think from.
fair
Uh,
enough.
I think, as I said, they can change it. They can make it whatever they want. I mean, if you think about it, like they're talking about traveling at sublight speed at. I mean, even at their technology level, it would still take you a while. And they're like, "Oh, it's only the next sector over." Well, that's still going to take a while to get through. Like space is vast, and I know that their ships are fast, fast. But if you're not using hyperdrive, then that's still a long trip.
Exactly. But we'll find out finally now who Sasha Banks is. A lot of people are saying that she's Sabine Wren from the Clone Wars. What do you think? You think it's
I
going to be her?
don't know. I thought she was Sabine. Wasn't she from Rebels, or was she from Clone Wars? I don't remember.
Fuck knows, I tell you, if I never watched
I don't know.
the.
I mean, I didn't watch Rebels. I only got about halfway through Clone Wars. I didn't watch Rebels, so I mean, I don't care. Like, I mean, is it cool that people are getting like callbacks to old, like to their stuff too? Yeah, that's fantastic. But I mean, honestly, I didn't. Yeah, I don't. Sabine, I know who she is. I just don't care much about her.
Yeah, but if she's a Mandalorian, she is a Mandalorian though, and she did survive the Great Purge, which I know fuck all about myself. Um, I mean, the Great Purge is basically like the Mandalorian's version of Order 66, I believe. But if she did survive that, then she'll be a valuable person. But she doesn't wear a helmet, and it's going to be interesting to see how they bridge this gap. With I believe that there's different clans of Mandalorians. Well, there's groups of them who take their helmet off all the fucking time, and then there's like maybe a more orthodox group, which is maybe what Mando's part of, where they don't take their helmets off at all. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, that's always been kind of a thing people have talked about in Clone Wars or Rebels or whatever, where Sabine she's a Mandalorian, but she's never wearing her mask. So I mean, yeah, I think she's going to be a part, and I think the way they do explain that is that she's a part of the sect that just doesn't wear the mask, unless like they don't have to. So I think it'll be interesting for Mando to run into this other Mandalorian with this different belief and see how that transpires. It might give us a little bit of a deep dive into the Mandalorian culture, even uh, but I'm not. I'm not really interested, and I know this is going to sound bad, but I'm not really interested in Mandalorian lore. I'm interested in a space western bounty hunter ish type show where the Mandalorian's going from planet to planet, adventure, expanding the lore of Star Wars after Return of the Jedi. I'm down for that. Exploring the history of the Mandalorians. I don't care that much, honestly. I'm
Oh,
not.
look, people call Star Wars a Western in space, but as far as I'm concerned, it's medieval Western in space. That's how I look at it. I think people ignore the medieval side of it. You have knights, and stuff like that, and ranking and that honors and shit like that. It's very, you have fighting monsters in caves, and you have sorcery. That's all to do with medieval and fantasy, and that plays a massive part in Star Wars. And I like seeing that element to it, and the quest giving you get in medieval stories is also in this. The quest is for Baby Yoda to get back to his own kind, whether it be his own species or Jedi or both. So some people say that he might be given to Sith by accident, which would be interesting. So we'll see how that happens. Obviously,
Baby Yoda.
rumors. Sorry,
Baby Yoda
go.
ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Like if he does give him to Sith on accident, it'll be resolved by the season finale. Um, I mean, Baby Yoda's not going. That show will not. I'm sorry to say it. That show will not survive without Baby Yoda at this point. And it's not because it's not a good show without him, but because he has become so synonymous with this show that if they take him out of there, they're basically playing Russian roulette with that property. I mean, I'll still probably watch it. I'll probably like it more without Baby Yoda. But I mean, probably most of their subscriber base will not watch it if Baby Yoda's not there. Just saying. I hate to be that way, but that's the realist in me.
Do you think Baby Yoda will have to develop during the course of the seasons of this show? So by maybe season 4 or 5, he's not like little munchkin Baby Yoda. He's a bit more grown up, you
No,
know?
I think this is. I mean, think about his lifespan. He lives 900 years. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think that in the couple seasons we get of the Mandalorian, I don't think we're gonna see much progression. I think he's
Do
just gonna be the exact same. Maybe learn a little bit, but I think he's just gonna be the same cute little.
you think he'll end up talking?
No, I don't like. I mean, if they do, that's fine. But it's like I feel like with the way their age cycle works, like maybe he'll end up start talking, but I don't know.
Do you think he'll end up being a Mandalorian?
I can't see him
Okay.
becoming a Mandalorian if he's not talking or grown.
I want to see him with a little helmet,
No.
yeah, a little jetpack, a little whistling birds on his arm. Honestly, I want to see that eventually because, look, imagine people saying, wouldn't you like to see Yoda pull out a little lightsaber and have fights? And maybe people would have thought that would have been a stupid idea, but it was one of the best things they could have ever done because made Yoda be the Jedi Master he was always supposed to be, a badass fighter. I want to see Baby Yoda become a Mando. I want him with that fucking helmet on. I want him with a little jetpack. I want him to be flying around using the force as well. All of that shit. That would make my day.
Okay. I mean, I can't say it's not going to happen because I mean marketing, but
Yep.
I mean, unless like after a couple seasons, they decide that they've had enough of the Mandalorian, and then they jump into like the future 30 to 50 years or something like that, and like past the rise of Skywalker, and then you get more of like a teenage baby Yoda, being a Mandalorian, and that could take them beyond Rise of Skywalker, kind of like a Discovery, but no time travel, just you know I don't know. I can't. I don't know anymore.
It's interesting to see where they go. Hopefully, there'll be some more. I mean, I personally would like a little bit of progression in the story. I mean, there's only 8 episodes a season, isn't there?
I think so. I don't think they
Yeah.
gave more for this season.
And by the way, this episode was quite short by comparison. I think it was under 40 minutes. I think maybe
45
35.
minutes, but that's including, the previously
I'm
and
I'm I'm chopping off the recap. I'm chopping off the credits. I think it was about 34 minutes, 35 maybe, pushing it. I was kind of timing it when watching it the second time. Will do. So I'm hoping that they keep to the longer episode format, because honestly, they could have put a few more minutes in this episode to give it just a bit more something at the end. Not just them floating off in space, but maybe them heading to that planet, so it gives us something to look forward to.
I disagree with that. I think that for what this episode was, it was the perfect length. And I like the fact that they do that, because the story only needs to be as long as it needs to be. I mean, this story
Fair
now,
enough.
I agree that the season premiere needed to be almost an hour long, because they were doing a lot, and that was good. And they did a lot in that hour, and none of it was wasted. But I feel like if they would have padded this out to like 50, 55 minutes, I feel like that it would have felt like that they were drawing it out. And I kind of like the fact that they play with the runtime, because I know everyone's like, oh, I need to have an hour's worth of content every single week. I don't agree with that, only because that's when you get padding, and padding is something that I don't agree with, because
But sometimes padding adds to the world we're in. Like, people complained about the Tatooine episode last season being a filler episode. But if it wasn't for that episode, we wouldn't have got the pit droids and Rhea Perlman's sister, who's become quite a relevant character this season, but she's been in the first 2 episodes.
But
so those bits of padding are just they're just to expand what we're in right now. That's how I look at it.
I guess we could call the Tatooine episode a filler episode, but there's a difference between filler and padding. A filler episode is not bad, because you're right, it can build character, it can build all these other things. However, padding is just like, oh, we need 15 extra minutes for this episode. What can we throw in here? Like, and that's the padding is what I have an issue with. The filler is not, because filler is more of like, we need to spend more time with this character doing this thing, but it has a purpose. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
yeah, fair enough. Kind of. Well, look, I think we've basically talked as much as we could about this episode. There really wasn't that much to talk about, unfortunately, when it comes to the overall universe we're in. But like I said, for what I got, it was a bit of an exhilarating thrill ride near the end of this episode, and hopefully it sets us up for something a bit more story orientated in the next. But if Mando just has another adventure where he needs to get out of shit, I'll be fine with that too. But there's only 8 episodes in the season, so if they're going to do more episodes like this, it would be nice to have maybe more episodes in the season. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could easily do 10, 15 episodes on this show.
I wouldn't know. 15 would be overkill. 10,
you think so?
Yeah. 10's enough. 10's enough.
Okay.
It ends up being like something. It ends up being a chore. Go watch Mandalorian. I mean, even 8. It could be enough, because if it leaves you wanting more, then that's a good thing. By 15 episodes, I've had my fill.
Season 1 was 8 episodes, and I felt like we needed a couple more episodes.
Yeah, exactly, because it leaves you wanting more, and that's a good thing. But if you have, say, 15, you might have had your fill, and I don't want to ever feel like that. I always want to be interested in this show. I think one of the things that killed me with the CW universe was it was just so much shit that you got drowned in it, you know. Anyways, I think we said enough. I'm very much looking forward to episode 3. You got anything else to add, Bob?
No, no, I don't know. I think that's it.
So this was called The Passenger. Like I said, I think it should be called Egg something or other. But nevertheless, it was a decent episode. I hope you guys liked it. I liked it. I know you're okay with it, Bob. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't dislike it in the slightest. I just, as I said, it wasn't
Fair
any
enough.
special either. Like as I said, it was a filler episode.
Great. Well, everybody who's watching, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're a small channel and we're trying to get ourselves out there. Maybe you can be part of this expansion with us. We have a Discord as well, Nerd Nation. Look it up. You'll see it. Look at this logo. You'll see the same logo on our Discord as well. So don't forget to follow that, as well as we're also on Facebook. Same logo again applies. So if you do see other groups called Nerd Nation, you know by the logo who is us, and we'll be there. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Take care. Goodbye. This is